can't fight the friction. So you can't take the pressure. So I start down to be strong. You can't fight the friction. So ease it off.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Nick930, and today I'll be reviewing Ubisoft's newest tactical shooter game, Ghost Recon Wildlands. Wildlands features a massive open world complete with open-ended missions, vehicles, weather effects, and tons to do and explore. The world of Wildlands is the largest open world I've ever seen in a Ubisoft title, and it's as much fun to play as it is to look at. Wildlands takes place in Bolivia and allows players to go from region to region hunting down members of the Santa Blanca cartel as you seek to dismantle and overthrow El Sueño, a brutal drug lord bent on creating his own independent drug nation. The story sets up the setting for the game, but it doesn't really do much else. It's a very typical Tom Clancy game about American soldiers sneaking in and trying to stop the bad guys from doing bad things. Occasionally, the protagonist, the ghosts, will break out and chatter amongst each other and tell jokes, but it doesn't really do much to add to the story, and it only seems to be distracting more than anything else. The game also provides some documents and intel scattered around if you want some more information, but again, this is not really a good substitute for a good story. In Wildlands, you can approach the objectives from any angle and play it your own way. If you prefer to sneak into a base and stealthily complete your objective, you're given the tools and the methods to do so. But if you prefer to take it off your silencer and going in guns blazing, you can do that too. Your friends can join in on the fun as well, replacing the game's AI squad mates and increasing your margin of error significantly. But taking down multiple enemies with your friends simultaneously is probably one of the most rewarding parts of Wildlands, and it's really what makes this game shine from the rest. You can easily mark targets with numbers and communicate with each other on who's going to take out which person, making for some awesome moments where you'll wipe out an entire enemy outpost within a second. Enemy AI behaves realistically, with patrol routes changing based on the time of day, enemies sending people out to investigate disturbances, and even calling in reinforcements and backup when the situation gets out of control. The game gives players plenty of opportunities to approach the game stealthily by giving them the capability to shoot out almost every light, hide in the vegetation, disable power generators and alarms, and even set up distractions like a massive explosion on the other side of the camp. The weapons all feel very nice, with the ability to aim down the sights and attach and detach silencers whenever you want. Sniper rifles have bullet drop and bullet penetration, adding even more depth to the game, and enemies can even hear suppressed weapons if you're using them too closely to them. There's hundreds of attachments and weapons scattered all over Bolivia for you to collect, and you can modify your guns a significant amount, making for nearly endless combinations for your loadout. Players also have the ability to do takedowns, which look pretty cool, but you unfortunately cannot hide enemy bodies. You can grab them and pull them around the corner before knocking them out, but once they're down, you pretty much cannot move them, and you better be careful that you didn't kill someone in the line of sight of another enemy. Vehicles will allow you to easily traverse the massive open world of Bolivia, but I'd highly recommend using a controller in order to handle them. Helicopters feel very awkward and are difficult to aim if they're armed with weapons. Cars and bikes will often spin off the road at every turn, and planes roll over very easily. They're not as bad to control as they are in games like Watch Dogs, but they're not as tight as games like Grand Theft Auto 5. The map is absolutely massive, with lots of variety in locations and scaled difficulty based on the locations. You'll find hundreds of missions and side missions scattered all over the land, just like any typical Ubisoft game. But with friends, these become a lot more enjoyable, as each objective is another opportunity to pull off an awesome multi-kill. The main story missions have you traveling to heavily guarded areas, extracting or interrogating a key target, finding intel, and then escaping. If you do this enough times, you'll eventually learn the location of your primary targets that will help you shut down the Santa Blanca cartel that rules over Bolivia. This may seem pretty similar to the layout of Mafia 3 because it's pretty much exactly the same, but the co-op aspect makes it a lot less repetitive and more enjoyable. If you're playing this by yourself, it might be repetitive though, so if you're not into that, I highly advise avoiding this. The graphics in Wildlands are phenomenal on the PC and will challenge even the most capable computer builds. The game features a massive draw distance with tons of dynamic assets and thick, lush vegetation that reacts realistically to wind and object movement. The game's weather effects are fully dynamic and randomized, and can even affect how enemies see or hear you. Timing shots with the thunder, for example, actually works, and enemies are less likely to spot you at night as opposed to the daytime. Performance can be a bit iffy, with my own average frame rates clocking in at around 53 to 58 FPS with a 980 Ti at mostly ultra settings. These shadow and terrain effects seem to be the major culprits here, having a massive impact on performance, so if you're having issues, I suggest going there first. The vertical sync feature was the only option that appears to not work correctly. With the option enabled, my frame rate will drop down to 30 FPS anytime the frame rate can't sustain 60, suggesting to me that this game is not utilizing triple buffering. I hope this is fixed eventually, as users with 60Hz monitors like myself will likely suffer quite a bit of screen tear, and it really takes away from the game's fantastic visuals. Wildlands is an enjoyable game with fantastic graphics, questionable performance, and has a tendency to be a bit repetitive. If you've got a group of friends looking for a good co-op game to play, this might be the place to look. And if you're a fan of stealth games and Ghost Recon, you'll likely enjoy yourself in the Wildlands. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.